What, are you police or security?
Police.
Oh, yeah.
Not many security guards carry guns, do they? Under Section 43 of the Terrorism Act, then I am going to stop and search you, given the fact of the position that we...
In this episode, polite camera action is filming a warehouse when armed officers arrive and move straight toward using Section 43. The leap is immediate, as if simply holding a camera is enough to trigger serious powers. There's no clear intelligence shared, no detailed explanation, just rapid escalation. Instead of backing down, he stays composed. He questions the grounds, asks for clarity, and keeps the focus on what can actually be justified. There's no confrontation, just steady pressure for proper reasoning. It doesn't take long for the situation to unravel. Without solid grounds to stand on, the response loses momentum. The officers step away, and the encounter ends with no action taken, exactly how it should have concluded from the very beginning.
How you doing?
Not bad, you?
Yeah, right, not bad.
I think you probably know why we're looking to stop you, don't you?
What, are you police or security?
Police.
Oh, yeah.
Not many security guards carry guns, do they? You're perfectly at liberty to say no, because I expect you know the law quite well. Do you have any idea on you at all?
No, I don't, mate.
Would you like to account for your actions in the area?
Not really, no, just taking photographs, that's it.
Okay. Under Section 43 of the Terrorism Act, then I am going to stop and search you, given the fact of the position that we find you in, the buildings you have been taking pictures of, and the fact you've admitted to taking photos of
Yeah,
those
this
buildings.
is a public
You
road,
haven't
though.
offered me any reason why. It's Section 43 of the Terrorism Act.
As I just said, I'm taking photographs, mate.
Yeah. What buildings were you taking them off?
I'm not taking them or anything, really. I'm just taking whatever I feel like. I'm totally entitled to take photographs.
You are.
Yeah, so what
you're
are you saying
but
then?
also under Section 43 of the Terrorism Act, I'm entitled to stop and search and stop and speak to anybody that I believe may be undertaking reconnaissance, hostile reconnaissance, or anything related to terrorism. And
so
also
when
hang on, sorry,
okay,
because
go on.
I haven't been impolite and interrupted you.
No, but I just don't like the idea of being searched for no reason when all I'm doing is walking around with a camera.
On. The jump from someone is taking photos to invoking Section 43 carries the entire weight of the encounter, and it doesn't stand up. Officers arrive and move straight to serious powers, even though photography on its own isn't a trigger. Section 43 is meant for situations involving genuine suspicion tied to terrorism, not for ordinary filming or curiosity. Polite camera action keeps the focus on the facts. He's on a public road, lawfully present, not hiding, not accessing restricted areas. Being reported doesn't automatically create grounds, and holding a camera doesn't become something more serious just because armed officers are involved. Once those basics are made clear, the justification starts to fall away. Without specific, credible reasons to support it, the use of that power has nothing solid to rest on, and the situation unravels as a result.
Yeah, but I've given you a reason why I'm in the area.
The fact you're not willing to listen to it, that is somewhat arbitrary.
Yeah, but I've just told you why I'm in the area.
Okay.
I'm a photographer.
But if that's the case...
I've got a YouTube channel, I take YouTube videos.
If that's the case, then you're perfectly at liberty to give me a name and details, aren't you?
No, why should I?
Okay.
It's a free country.
I know it is.
We're not living in China, are we, where you've got no rights to do anything. This is the UK, isn't it, where you've got rights to do what you want. So,
which is also...
And I'm entitled to walk around with my camera and take videos for YouTube and stuff like that.
Well, the reports of people are telling me...
Yeah.
There he is.
Yeah, just good.
TE06,
yeah,
QP.
QP.
He's got his on as well.
Thank you very much.
So, like I said, Section 43 of the Terrorism Act gives me the power to stop and search you and obtain any details from you that you're willing to give to me.
Well, I'm not really...
Okay, if that's the case then, I am also at liberty to look at the memory cards, SD cards and anything on those cameras.
Don't be silly, no you're not.
No, I am.
No, you're not.
I am.
A court of law is the only person who's allowed to look at that.
Tell you what then, you put your camera down, get your phone out and Google.
This is the point where authority starts being stretched beyond its limits. When asking for his details doesn't lead anywhere, the officer shifts approach, now claiming the right to look through his footage, memory, and SD cards on the spot. But that's not how the law works. Accessing someone's digital content isn't something that can be done casually during a roadside interaction. There are clear legal boundaries around that. If devices are to be examined, there are proper procedures: seizure under lawful grounds and review through the appropriate process. Polite camera action keeps the distinction clear. A court may later assess material if it's lawfully obtained and relevant, but that doesn't give officers the authority to scroll through someone's data on demand. Authority has to exist before the action, not be justified afterward. Trying to blur that line only highlights the lack of a solid legal footing.
It says I'm allowed to look at them to see what you've been doing. Because if it is a case of what you have been looking at is hostile reconnaissance in relation to terrorism...
Hostile reconnaissance to what?
Because you've been taking pictures of a building that is of a sensitive nature.
Well, that logistics building. I'm doing absolutely no wrong, am I, with walking around with a camera?
You're doing wrong.
Well, so why are you searching me then?
At what point have I said you're doing wrong, though?
So why would you search me?
Right, at what point have I said you're doing wrong?
You haven't, but why would you search me if I'm not doing anything wrong?
I've just told you under the Terrorism Act, Section 43.
Yeah, but then that means you suspect me of being a terrorist.
It's a suspicion, exactly.
What, you think I'm a terrorist?
It's not an accusation, is it?
You suspect I'm a terrorist? Why don't you go and speak to them first,
Okay,
so they can stopping me?
Here we go. Let's chuck a controversial one in here. You're telling me you've spoken to them. When's the last time you think somebody lied to me as a police officer?
Probably all the time. I'm not a liar,
There we go. But I don't know that, do I?
I've told you what I'm doing. I'm totally entitled to walk around with a camera and film stuff. You know I am, so I don't know what you're going on about. You don't think I'm a terrorist. You know I'm not a terrorist.
I didn't say I didn't think you're a terrorist.
Well, why are you stopping me on the terrorism?
My suspicion is.
The officer backs himself into a corner. He openly admits that the person on camera hasn't done anything wrong, and that admission changes everything. The next question lands hard. So why are you searching me? Here's no easy answer after that. Once an officer acknowledges there's no offense and no clear reason, the justification for a search falls apart. Any attempt to recover, like saying, people lie to police all the time, only weakens the position further. Doubt alone isn't a valid basis for a search. It's not evidence, it's just a way to dismiss someone's words. If suspicion continues even when no wrongdoing exists, then honesty stops mattering. And when that happens, authority begins to stretch beyond its limits. The person behind a camera doesn't need to argue or escalate. The contradiction speaks for itself. You can't recognize someone's innocence and still defend an intrusive action. That's not careful policing. It's a lapse in judgment and a misuse of authority.
Suspicion is not a statement of fact.
So then you've got to have a proper reason for stopping me, other than you just seeing me walking around. Of what? Because I'm walking around with a camera. Well, you better make sure you got this right, mate, because there's going to be a lot of trouble otherwise.
Okay, so why do we now have to resort to threats?
No, I'm not threatening you, am I? I'm just saying I'm not physical trouble. I'm just talking.
Why do we have to resort to a threat?
Because I'm going to go to a police station. I'm going to make a massive complaint. That's what I'm saying.
Is completely engage with you in a polite and courteous manner.
Yeah, but you're
at no point have I been rude.
Yeah, but
are you able to show us some of your footage then of what you've taken?
I don't actually have to, do I? I'm totally entitled to walk around this country with a camera. You all know I am, and it's just you're trying to intimidate me by using terrorism acts and stuff like
We're
that.
Not trying to intimidate.
No, it's a normal police tactic. Throw big words around and scare people with big words. I'm sorry, I'm just messing my phone. I'm not getting in.
We have to attend every incident. This has come on to us as a 999 call over a secure site. We have a duty to investigate that and to make sure that.
Well, for a logistics firm, I'm not very happy about. I've got nothing on me, but I'm not happy about being searched just because it's infringement on my liberties, and I've done nothing wrong.
This is where accountability gets reframed as something it isn't. When polite camera action points out that actions need to be lawful or they can lead to consequences, that's not a threat. It's a reminder of how oversight works. Turning a statement like, "I'll complain," into, "You're threatening me," flips the situation. It shifts attention away from justification and onto the person raising the concern. Labeling the location as a secure site doesn't resolve it either. Security measures apply to the property itself, not to the public space outside it. Controlling access within a site is one thing. Extending that control onto a public road is another. Polite camera action isn't entering restricted areas, interfering with operations, or bypassing any barriers. He's observing from a place he's allowed to be. Once that boundary is clear, the argument loses its footing, because nothing he's doing actually crosses into restricted territory.
We have to find out now what interactions you've had with security.
Yeah.
If you've gone past into any secure areas.
No,
and exactly
not,
what's happened with the drone, all right?
The terrorists would come around at night or just film it on their dash cam, wouldn't they? Or they'd go.
It would be.
Do you know what I mean? Though it's like surely
you cannot predict the actions of a terrorist.
Yeah, but this is over. That would be covert surveillance. So surely a terrorist would use covert surveillance. They wouldn't stand out here in the broad daylight with a massive camera on a tripod, would they? They'd go and stand at the back and fly the drone. They wouldn't fly it on the middle of the road, would they? I stood there, right in the middle of all the cameras. Hello, mate.
We shouldn't try and predict the acts of a terrorist incident, should we really?
No, I know, but like
you can see it's like got security, it's got bobber. What would that indicate?
Yeah, but I'm not. But there's no rules being broken on, or laws being broken by flying my drone over that building.
We're not talking about laws at the moment. All I'm talking.
Aren't we? I thought no, these guys are talking about searching me under the terrorism.
I'm having a conversation with you.
Okay.
Polite camera action brings it back to a point that's hard to challenge. Genuine reconnaissance is typically discreet. What he's doing is the opposite. Open, visible, and explained from the start. Filming in plain sight from a public road doesn't match the idea being suggested. By continuing to push the same angle, the officers end up arguing against that basic logic, implying that transparency itself is the issue. When another officer joins, the reasoning shifts again. Barbed wire and on-site security are mentioned as if they restrict filming. But those features are there to protect access to private property, not to limit what can be observed from public space. Then comes the most revealing moment. When pressed further, an officer admits, "We're not talking about laws." That line cuts through everything. If the discussion isn't grounded in law, then it's not about enforcement, it's about preference.
It's a secure building with barbed wire around it, and they've got two secure. I'm never getting in there, am I? It's very secure, so.
No,
do you
but
know what I mean?
one would
It's
argue
like,
that if it's secure, there's things in there that they might not want anybody to see.
Because you're an auditor, aren't you?
I'm not actually. I'm not. Nah, you see, this is that people often confuse the two. An auditor is someone who goes out and looks for problems on the sites, don't they, like site security and stuff like that. I'm actually just a YouTuber that just speeds footage up.
Okay,
come back to
it's just slightly different. I carry this because I get stopped a lot, you know. I do. I speak to them.
Confrontations.
I've been back to the Royal Mail site, and if they come out, at least I've got the security come and attack me. I'm like them guys.
What's your first name? Sorry.
I'm not a friend, you know, whatever. I suppose.
Look, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah. Have a nice day, guys. Thank you very much. Cheers.
What brings this episode to a close isn't a dramatic clash, it's the gradual unraveling of the officer's position. Polite camera action repeatedly makes it clear he's not causing trouble and isn't acting unlawfully, and nothing shown contradicts that. The calmer and more consistent he is, the harder it becomes to justify the intervention. The gap never closes. Suspicion never turns into anything concrete, and the interaction keeps circling without direction. No offense is identified, no clear boundary is set, and no lawful instruction is firmly established. Instead, everything leans on vague ideas, security, sensitivity, discomfort, none of which translate into a defined power. And that's how it ends. Not with enforcement, but with a quiet withdrawal. After all the references to serious concerns and restricted areas, there's no search, no seizure, no action taken. Just time spent, pressure applied, and nothing to support it. Once the challenge is held steady, the authority behind the claims fades, and the encounter closes with a simple walk away. If you found this breakdown useful, consider liking the video, sharing it, and subscribing to support more content like this. I'm the Audit Assessor. This was episode 9. Catch you next time.